Everyone, I want to thank you first off for being here. In fact, it's the most important thing to me that you are here, because what we're trying to do today more than anything else is to keep this issue alive. The quality of our election integrity in this state has been suspect for the last several years, in my opinion. And I've been trying to raise awareness to that year after year, offering amendments on the floor, challenging the majority's continued policy changes that tend to expand access to voting, which we agree is a good thing. But when they expand access to voting, they don't always put the proper security measures with those expansions. And that's what we would like to draw attention and focus to. So the thing is that I've been upset about this issue for a number of years, and we've not really been able to, get the proper attention on it. And then lo and behold, what happened last September in Bridgeport actually brought this issue to the forefront, and people across the state became aware of it, and the press started to cover this issue in, real sincerity. And that's been great. The problem is that despite all of this attention to this issue, the Democrats that we serve with here in Hartford have failed to take the issue seriously enough and put the proper protocols and policies in place to fix it. Instead, they'd prefer to gaslight the public. They'd prefer to gaslight the press into suggesting that somehow this bill that they've offered in the GA committee that we just passed out of committee the other day is going to solve the problem. And I don't want to come across as we're not supportive of that legislation. I think it does some good things, but it just does not go far enough. The issue with the drop boxes is that the drop boxes are just one of several mechanisms by which voters can return an absentee ballot. And if you begin monitoring drop boxes, and I'll make a note that in Bridgeport, they were monitoring the drop box, and what happened there happened. And they had 3 subsequent elections, and it appears that in all of the subsequent elections, where obviously there was much more scrutiny on the drop boxes, there were cameras pointed at the drop boxes, it didn't seem to change a thing. So I don't know why anyone would believe that somehow pointing a camera at drop boxes now is going to solve the problem. And the fact of the matter is, bad actors who are going to abuse our absentee ballot system can go around the drop boxes very easily. You could just put those ballot applications right into an actual mailbox instead of a drop box. So there are problems that need to be addressed outside of just attacking the drop box issue, and that's what we're here to say. And we would like to attack the problem in the most significant and proper way possible, and that is to address the way our absentee ballot process works in the state of Connecticut. And I feel like it's a flawed system. They expanded our mail-in voting from being just a couple of percentage points in an election, 2 or 3% of votes cast prior to the pandemic, to now, during the pandemic, you saw numbers 20, 30, even 40% in some races, votes being cast by absentees. And of course, the number, while it's not that high, it's still significant. And that was never the intention. Our absentee ballot system is there to accommodate people who cannot vote in person. It is not to create a mail-in voting system with holes in it. And that's what we have today. So we've got a series of proposals designed to fix our absentee ballot system so that the type of fraud, the type of irregularities that we've seen cannot continue, and we can restore the quality of our elections in Connecticut. The first thing we should do is we should address our voter rolls. This is where the source of the problem. When you have corrupt voter rolls and then you mail out ballots, obviously you're going to be mailing ballots and ballot applications to people that do not deserve them. So that's the first thing. And we have a number of ways to do that, including auditing absentee ballot applications, auditing election day registration. Just as an example, someone can election day register and vote in Connecticut, and then immediately after that, within a few weeks, the registrar is going to send that person a confirmation letter saying you've been registered to vote. But would you know that some of those are returned in the mail, and nothing is done about that? So that should make one wonder whether or not those were legitimate voters to begin with. And that's just one of the areas that we should address as far as fixing the voter rolls, including putting an actual requirement on the Secretary of State to address the voter rolls on an annual basis. The second thing we need to do is put some type of security in our absentee ballot system. Other states that do significant amounts of mail-in voting, they actually set up their system in advance, knowing they're going to do mail-in voting so that they have a better registration system where they capture somebody's signature digitally, knowing that they're going to compare it later using an automated system. Here in Connecticut, we don't have any of that. We have a very, very, loosey-goosey kind of system, and it just does not work. We don't have a signature verification process. We don't have photo ID for in-person voting, for one thing, but we don't have that for absentee ballot voting either, and many other states do. We should have that here in Connecticut. The third thing, and what I think is the most important thing we could do, is to just prohibit the unsolicited mailing of absentee ballot applications. This is the problem, is now you've got either a government entity, the Secretary of State, or municipalities sending out absentee ballot applications to all of the voters, or what's happened in more recent years is you have candidates or people that are involved in campaigns sending out the absentee ballot applications to the people that they have targeted, effectively sending maybe multiple applications to some people and none to others. It's a completely unfair system, and it is an imperfect system, because what's happening is people are receiving ballot applications to their home addresses that they do not belong to them. And the fact of the matter is that this is being exploited in places like Bridgeport, where they are using the holes in our system in a big way to cheat and to advance their different campaigns and candidacies. But it's also happening in other places too. And we can never actually know the scale. The fact of the matter is, if folks are sent absentee ballot applications for their elderly parents, some people are going to fill them out for them. They just are. And that's the fact of the matter. Or, if their kids away at college, people are going to fill these things out. And that's just not the way our system is supposed to work. There are elections decided by as little as one vote in this state. I overlap with the 81st representative district, decided by one vote last year. So that's something that we need to address. And then finally, the other piece of this is to actually put in real penalties for bad actors. We've had numerous cases of election fraud, almost exclusively with absentee ballots and almost exclusively in our major cities over the last 3 decades. And some people have gotten fined, no question about it. But to my knowledge, no one has ever served a day in prison or had a very significant fine. We need a real deterrent, and that's why we're offering a policy which thankfully narrowly made it out of the GAE committee the other day, Senate Bill 390, which would put a 1-year mandatory minimum on election interference and similar types of crimes. So those things together, I think, are more likely to address the problem than simply putting a camera on a drop box, which may be a valid idea, but it's not enough to fix things. And I want to turn it over to Representative Master Francesco and see if she has anything to add.
Sure.